lot tougher. So I'm going to go at 11. Right now, all right, next Baltimore Ravens over and under 8.5. Ooh, it's going to be tough. I think I'm going to go over, slightly over at 9. I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs just because they lost a lot, especially on defense. I mean, obviously, when you have Ray Lewis and Ed Reed leave that team, that's a lot of leadership and a lot of capable production that you lose, along with a bunch of defensive players, and they lose Anquan Bolden, who was huge in the postseason. So, personally, 9 wins for the Ravens. Buffalo Bills, over under 6.5. Again, for many of you who know, I'm a fan of the Bills. It's tough, but I think I will go under, slightly under at 6. I mean, this team has a lot of questions. If they get over 6 wins, I'll be very excited. Don't get me wrong. The question is, who's your quarterback? I still don't know. Could it be Kevin Cobb? Maybe. Could it be E.J. Manuel, the first-round pick? Who knows? So if I had a better idea of who their quarterback was, I'd probably make a better guess, but I think I'd go under at 6. Carolina, over under 7. I'm going to go under. I mean, I don't know what more Cam Newton can do for this team. He is pretty much their offense. I mean, they have some good players, but they're always injured, which is a problem. And they don't have the best offensive line. So I'm going to go under, definitely under for Carolina. The Chicago Bears, over under 8.5 wins. It's going to be a tough division. I think I'm going to go under. I'm slightly under at 8. Again, this offensive line, I don't know what they've done in the offseason, really. I mean, their schedule, I'm sure, is going to be tough, and they play in one of the toughest divisions in the NFL, if not the toughest, when you have Minnesota, who's gotten better, and you have Detroit and Green Bay. So I'm going to go under at 8. Cincinnati Bengals, over under 8.5. I'm definitely going to go over. I don't know by how much exactly, but this team could be a really good team heading into the postseason. They have a good nucleus of Andy Dalton and AJ Green. I mean, this team is they have a good roster. They just need a good running game to balance that, and they have to keep up that defense that they have the last couple years. Over under 6 wins for the Cleveland Browns. Under. I mean, I'm not sold on Brandon Weeden, so I'm gonna have to go under. Dallas, over under 8.5. Under. When you pay Tony Romo that money, I mean, one playoff win in 8 seasons. Granted, they've gotten to the playoffs. I don't know exactly if they can do this, and so I'm just gonna go under. The biggest one, I think, over under 11.5 wins for the Denver Broncos. Ooh, I'm gonna go slightly under at 11. Actually, no, you know what? I'm gonna go over. This roster has upgraded with Wes Welker and a lot again. So the other receivers, Demaryius Thomas, Eric Decker, Jacob Tamme. I mean, they're going to be really good, and they just need a good running game. And when you have Peyton Manning under center, you usually get double-digit wins. You know, I'm going to go with 12. 12 wins, I think, is a healthy number for the Denver Broncos. But they're probably going to be the number 1 seed in the AFC this season. All right. Detroit, over under 7.5 wins. Over. Going 8. Not a lot. I mean, this team, besides Calvin Johnson, I don't know who else they have at receiver. If this defense can play a lot better than they did last year, then yeah, they're a playoff team. But I'm not sold yet, so going over, slightly at 8. Over under 10 wins for the Green Bay Packers. Over. I think they're going to go 11. I mean, when you have Aaron Rodgers, and they always have good receivers, he makes good receivers great. And I think that's what's good about Aaron Rodgers. They signed some running backs in the offseason. We'll see what happens with that. But yeah, I'm going over 10, just barely at 11. Houston Texans, over under 10 wins. I think I'll push. I'll stay at 10. I mean, this roster won the division last year. They're healthy. But can they do it in the postseason? That's the huge one. But in the regular season, it's a good team. It's a playoff team. And they're going to compete with the Colts, who are up next. But yeah, I'm going with 10. Indianapolis Colts, over under 8.5 wins. I'm going to go over, slightly over. I'm going to go with 9. I mean, this team's a good team. When you have Andrew Luck throwing the ball a lot, they're great. But, again, they threw the ball a lot. I think they're going to be in some shootout games. And, again, in his second, will Andrew Luck be able to figure out teams in his second season? I'm not completely sure. But I think they're going to have a winning record. So I'm going to go with 9 wins. Jacksonville, over under 5 wins. 5 wins is saying a lot. Definitely under. Kansas City over under 7 wins. I will push also at 7. When you upgrade to Alex Smith at quarterback, I think it's better than Matt Castle. So, I mean, they're moving in the right direction. When you have Andy Reid as a new head coach, I think this offense has a potential to get to the playoffs. It's a dark horse team, but I don't think they're going to do it this year. So I'm going to stay at 7. Miami Dolphins over under 7.5 wins. I think I'm going to go over. I'm going to go over at 8, possibly 9. They have the potential to upset the Patriots and get to win the division at the very least. I don't know how much damage they'll do in the postseason considering they lost Reggie Bush, so we'll see. Minnesota over under 7.5 wins. I'm going to go 8, slightly over at 8. I think this team is a good team, but the problem is, will Christian Ponder develop into an NFL quarterback? I'm not sure just yet, so I'm going to go 8. Over under New England, and again, I mean it's 11.5 right here, but I think a lot of it has to do before what's happened with Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez and Wes Welker. I mean, so I'm going to go way under. I think I'm going to go 9. They're going to compete again. Like I said, they're going to compete with Miami for that division this year. I think, again, Brady in the first and during his Super Bowl years, he had teams. He had no name receivers be great in the Super Bowls. But the other component was that he had great defense, and I don't think they have a great defense right now. They give up a lot of points, and they give up a lot of yards. So personally, I just think that New England's going to go under. New Orleans over under 9. It's going to be close. I'm going to push also at 9. I mean, again, they have a lot of problems on defense, but when you have Drew Brees, you're going to win some games, and I think they're going to get enough, possibly to make it to the postseason, one of those wild card spots. I'm going to go at 9. New York Giants over under 9 wins. It's tough because considering that they lost a lot in the postseason, in the offseason. I'm going to go slightly under at 8. New York Jets over under 6.5 wins. Again, Buffalo and the New York Jets are going to be one of those teams that could either be really good or really bad. For the New York Jets, it's just going to get worse and worse, considering that Geno Smith is trying to unseat Matt Sanchez, which again could be good thing or bad thing. So I don't know what will happen with that, and so I am going to go under. Oakland over under 5.5, under, no doubt. Philadelphia over under 7. I mean, again, Philadelphia could be one of those teams that could get to the playoffs. I'm not sold in Chip Kelly's system will work in the NFL right now, so I will have to go push. I'll push at 7. I think that 7's a healthy number. I mean, they were terrible last year. So I'm going to go 7. I think 7's a good number for Chip Kelly's first year with the Eagles. Pittsburgh Steelers over under 9. I think I'm going to go push also. Push it 9. They're a good team. Will Big Ben stay healthy? That's the key. That is one of the reasons why they didn't make the postseason last year. He needs to stay healthy. San Diego over under 7.5 wins. Slightly under at 7. I mean, Philip Rivers, he's wildly inconsistent. So he's a good quarterback. I wouldn't say a great one. So I'm going to go under at 7. San Francisco 49ers, the other team at 11.5 wins. Can they go over? I'm going to go slightly under at 11. I mean, this team's good, but they're going to be really competitive with the Seahawks and a bunch of teams in the league. So personally, I think it's going to be a tough season for Kaepernick, but enough to get them in the playoffs with 11 wins. Seattle Seahawks over under 10.5. Again, I'm going to go under at 10. I think San Francisco is going to win the division by 1. And again, it's going to be really, really close coming down the stretch. So I think Seattle will win 10 games. St. Louis over under 7.5. Over. I think I'm going to go over at 8. I mean, Sam Bradford is a good quarterback. I don't know what they have around him at receiver. That is my big concern. And then let's see here. You have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers over under 7.5 wins. They need to be over, or else Josh Freeman's going to lose his job to Glennon. I'll say that much. But I think they'll be able to get over. I think they'll be able to get over 8 wins is my prediction. So, I mean, they have a lot of talent at running back now, so we'll see what happens with that. Tennessee over under 6.5 wins. This is Locker's year. This is the year that he has to produce, has to get into the postseason, in my opinion. I don't think it's going to be enough. I think over, but at 7. And then the Redskins Over under 8. If Griffin stays healthy and he doesn't, I mean, again, don't get me wrong, he's learned a lot from his knee injury. He's learned what to do, what not to do, and I think that's huge. I think it's going to be really important. So I'm gonna stay slightly over at 9. And and again, these are just predictions right now. Will this change later? Absolutely. All right. One more final topic.